And now we move to the main card in a battle in the featherweight division, the featured fight. Well, I guess it's not the featured fight, but it's a very highly anticipated fight at 145 pounds between the number 10 ranked undefeated Movsar Evloev, coming into the fight with a record of 16 victories and no defeats, going up against the number 11 ranked Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell, who comes back with a record of 15 victories with one lone defeat. I know it says 2 losses if you look around on SureDog and other websites, but for the most part, I mean, Bryce Mitchell only lost in his last fight, and that was that beatdown against Ilia Topuria, where he forced him to strike on the feet, beat him up on the feet, dropped him, rocked him multiple times, and then eventually got to the ground and submitted Bryce Mitchell, which is something I did not expect. I did not expect Ilia Topuria to submit Bryce Mitchell, but I thought he was going to knock him out. And we almost got that knockout if he would have just let him back up, but he didn't. He followed him to the ground and got the arm triangle choke submission. Big win for Ilia Topuria and a huge loss in Bryce Mitchell's professional MMA career. Going up against another undefeated fighter. I mean, facing Ilia Topuria and Movsar Evloev back-to-back is a tough test. Tough test, I should say. And a tough task for anybody in any division. To have to fight Movsar Evloev, undefeated at 16-0, and then before that, fight Ilia Topuria, who was undefeated. That's insane. And big props to Bryce Mitchell for taking this fight and taking it on short notice, as it was originally going to be, well, not Bryce Mitchell taking it on short notice, but Evloev taking the fight on short notice, but it's still a short notice opponent replacement for Bryce Mitchell, as he was originally set to face off against, what's his name? Jonathan St. Pierce or something like that. JSP, Jonathan JSP Pierce. That was it. This is a tough fight. This is a fight where I think you're probably going to know who I'm going to pick in terms of the overall pick and the betting perspective. But looking at this fight, it's basically striker versus grappler. But even though Bryce Mitchell's the better jiu-jitsu artist, has better, overall jiu-jitsu and submission game, I still think he's not a better overall grappler than Evloev. Evloev has such good counter wrestling, such good ability to take the opponent down, to get to the top position, to work from the half guard, to look to work to your back, countering forward pressure with beautifully timed takedowns. But there's a difference between him and Mitchell. Mitchell will strike it out on the feet, but he's mainly going to fight from the outside, change his stances, move left and right, move in and out, kind of like a karate style on the feet. And he's going to look to maybe land that straight left, the right hook into the straight left hand like he landed against Edson Barbosa up against the cage. And he's going to look to land roundhouse kicks, spinning kicks, front kicks, landing a lot of kicks from the outside to kind of draw the opponent in so he can counter with a takedown and work his wrestling and superior grappling game. I don't think that type of game plan is going to work that well against Movsar Evloev. You look at the statistics for this fight. I'm going to go to it right now. Looking at the statistics for Mitchell and Evloev, 5'7" for Movsar Evloev, 5'10" for Mitchell, so Mitchell's going to have a 3-inch height advantage. He's going to be at a 2.5-inch reach disadvantage, though, and that's something you got to take into consideration. Evloev has a 72.5-inch reach to a 70-inch reach for Bryce Mitchell. Leg reach, he's going to have a 4-inch leg reach advantage. So, like I said, it's probably going to be fighting from the outside against Evloev, trying to keep the range, trying to land roundhouse kicks, spinning kicks, hook kicks, a lot of kicks from the outside to draw in Evloev and then try to counter that forward pressure with the wrestling, get the takedowns, work to the half guard, work from the top position, look to land ground and pound, and things like that. You look at the win percentages, you're going to have a 47% finish rate for Evloev, 20% of the wins by KO, 27% by submission, 53% by decision. And on the side of Mitchell, you're going to have a 60-40 split, with 60% of the wins coming by way of sub and 40% coming by way of decision. So a 47% finish rate for Evloev to a 60% finish rate for Mitchell, except Mitchell's finishes all come via submission. Looking at the average fight time, 15 minutes for Evloev, 12 minutes and 30 seconds for Bryce Mitchell. Significant strikes landed per minute, 4.36 for Evloev to 2.48 for Bryce Mitchell. You're looking at a 46% significant strike accuracy rate on Evloev, but even though he doubles up Bryce Mitchell almost, Bryce Mitchell has 60% striking accuracy, or 60% significant strike accuracy, I should say, compared to 46% for Evloev. So Bryce Mitchell's more economical, but he lands more. He has more success than Evloev does on the feet. Strikes absorbed per minute, 2.79 for Movsar Evloev to 1.71 for Bryce Mitchell. 63% striking defense overall for Movsar Evloev to 57% striking defense overall for Thug Nasty or Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell. The grappling is really where you're going to want to take a dive in terms of the statistical analysis. 4.83 takedowns per 15-minute fight for Bryce Mitchell, or for Movsar Evloev, to 3.26 for Bryce Mitchell. So you got almost 5 takedowns per 15-minute fight for Movsar Evloev to 3 takedowns per 15-minute fight for Bryce Mitchell. So pretty much Mitchell doesn't have to get you down as many times because Mitchell is better at controlling from the top. That's kind of how I look at this from a analytic standpoint. Bryce Mitchell is better at controlling you once you hit the mat. Evloev is more active with the takedowns, but he doesn't seem to control you as much. So that is something you're going to have to look at when you break down the fight. Takedown accuracy, though, is going to be on the side of Evloev. So even though he has 4.83, almost 5 takedowns per 15-minute fight, he secures about 2 to 3 out of those 5 takedowns with a 50% takedown accuracy to a 44% takedown accuracy rate for Bryce Mitchell. Takedown defense, 33% for Bryce Mitchell to a 71% takedown defense rate on the side of Movsar Evloev. Now, a lot of the times people are going to look at that number and say, well, Evloev's the much better wrestler. He's got the much better takedowns. I would say that that's true, but you also have to look at the fact that Mitchell is so confident in his jiu-jitsu and his ability to sweep, his submissions off of his back, his ability to sweep and get into the top position, that sometimes he might attack a submission or give up a takedown more easily and then use that to work his superior jiu-jitsu game. The problem is, against such a talented grappler and such a technical striker in Evloev, I think that's not a good game plan. He might be able to catch Evloev in a submission. He might be able to sweep him and catch his arm, catch his neck. He might be able to. Mitchell's no joke on the ground. He's the only fighter in the UFC besides Leonard Garcia to land a twister. Or I'm sorry, not Leonard Garcia, besides the Korean Zombie against Leonard Garcia, to lock up a twister submission. And he went for another one against Charles Rosa, but wasn't able to get it. And he attacked that multiple times. So Mitchell is very serious in terms of his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game. Very serious in terms of his Jiu-Jitsu game. But against a guy who likes to move on the feet, uses good in and out movement, uses good lateral movement, has good counter knees if you try to pressure, good 1-2s, good ability to land uppercuts, hooks, 1-1-2s, switches stance, angle off, the footwork and striking ability of Movsar Evloev, paired with his great counter wrestling and the ability to float over on takedowns and really just control the opponent on the mat. Even though Mitchell has better control, I have a very difficult time seeing him being able to reverse position against Evloev and work the jiu-jitsu against the solid wrestling base of Evloev. Yes, Bryce Mitchell has better jiu-jitsu. He's a better scrambler, but I think he's going to have trouble with the top pressure of Evloev and the counter wrestling of Evloev being able to lock up submissions. Yes, he's going to go for it. He's going to try to attack the neck, going to try to attack the legs, going to try to attack the arm bars. That's all going to be something that Bryce Mitchell's going to try to do. However, I don't expect him to have much success, and I think that Evloev's going to rack up ground control time. Even though it says that Mitchell is better at controlling once the fight hits the mat, I feel like Evloev's wrestling, hip pressure, and ability to float over and get takedowns off the counter, and then pairing that with his better striking game, his in and out movement, his lateral movement, his footwork, his good jabs and crosses down the center line, good check hooks, good ability to counter the forward pressure with knees and uppercuts. I think that this is a very tough fight for Bryce Mitchell, and I don't think that this was a smart idea to take this fight against Evloev on short notice. Even though I know Mitchell was preparing for a fight and Evloev's really the one who took the fight on short notice, I don't think this is a good matchup for Bryce Mitchell at all. I think this fight paired with the Ilia Topuria fight are two of the hardest matchups for Bryce Mitchell in the division. And I think he drops 2 in a row here. I think he goes from undefeated to dropping a 2-0. But again, look at the fight with Bryce Mitchell. Before the Topuria fight, he was undefeated as well. So he just lost to Ilia Topuria. Evloev would probably lose to Topuria as well, but I'm also a big Topuria fan. So take that into consideration as well. Mitchell had never lost until that fight with Topuria, but he got submitted by Ilia Topuria, got dropped, got grounded and pounded, got, ground control time racked up on the side of Topuria, who, yes, is a good wrestler. yes, does have good counter wrestling, good takedown attempts, but he's not known for his grappling. He's known for his knockout power and his beautiful technical striking. Evloev has good striking, good in and out movement, good footwork, good ability to land counter shots, really doesn't stay on one center line. He's constantly moving laterally, moving in and out, and has good ability to cut those angles and land good counter shots. Like I said, good knees, good uppercuts off the back foot. I think this is a terrible matchup for Bryce Mitchell. I could see him potentially grabbing a submission, but I don't think he controls Evloev on the floor. I don't think that he's going to be able to submit Movsar Evloev unless it's in the third round. Maybe he tires out Evloev, is able to get some takedowns, work the ground control, and get a submission. I'll say this, if Bryce Mitchell wins, it's more than likely going to be tiring out Evloev and potentially getting a third round submission. But for the most part, I'm going to go with the still undefeated fighter in Movsar Evloev to defeat Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell via unanimous decision. I could see a potential finish. Maybe he tires out Bryce Mitchell, ground and pounds him, and locks up a submission of his own. I think it's either submission or decision for Evloev. I think it's either late third round submission or bust for Bryce Mitchell, but I'm going to go with the number 10 ranked Movsar Evloev to be the better fighter on the feet, the more technical fighter with the better footwork and range management and the better counter wrestling with greater top control to defeat the jiu-jitsu ace in Bryce Mitchell, handing him his second professional loss in mixed martial arts via 29-28, actually no, 30-27 unanimous decision. So give me the number 10 ranked Movsar Evloev to defeat Bryce Mitchell, the number 11 ranked fighter in the division, via a unanimous decision. 30-27 unanimous decision.